Hello, people. This is Big Boss Calvin 83. Just going to talk about some things that have been going on in the last 2 months in terms of you have people. You know, this is nothing new to me because I have done topics like this before. In the past, and with my old channels, I've discussed how people create their own killers. I discussed how when you keep bullying people and mistreating them, they're gonna snap, and and to you, the bully who or the bullies who keep fucking with people, you keep doing them dirty, doing them wrong, and fucking them over all the damn time. One day, that person's gonna snap, and you're gonna get your ass whooped, or you're gonna get murdered, and that person's gonna blow your head off, or beat your ass and then shoot and kill you, or all the above. I have said this time after time after time. There are consequences and repercussions for your actions. There are consequences and repercussions for your actions. The way you treat people is the way you're gonna get treated back in return. You treat people good, they're gonna treat you good. That's what I was taught. You treat people bad, you treat other people the way you don't want to be treated yourself. Those same people that you fuck over and mistreat, they're gonna treat you like shit too. You treat them like shit, they're gonna treat you like shit back. You mistreat people, they're gonna mistreat you back. And that's what I have been saying over and over again for a long time now. Anyway, I'm gonna cover this story that happened this report that happened out in New York City, and I'm also going to discuss what happened to Steve Scalise out in Virginia, or when that man from Illinois went to Northern Virginia, I guess near the D.C. area, because I travel there, a lot too, when I'm going up north and visiting New York City, New Jersey, New York City, Philadelphia. So I'm going to discuss what happened out in New York City with the doctor. Doctor fatally shoots 1, wounds 6 at New York City hospital before killing himself. So, and then I'm going to discuss the shooting that happened out in Virginia, Alexandria, Virginia. Okay, let's get started. First, I'm going to read the article, then I'm going to play the clips, and then I'm going to give my commentary. New York City, New York, CNN. A doctor opened fire with an assault rifle Friday inside a New York City hospital where he used to work, killing a woman and wounding 6 people before turning the gun on himself, law enforcement officials said. The shooting started a little before 3 p.m. at the Bronx-Lebanon hospital. The 972-bed facility is one of the largest providers of outpatient services in New York. Police said somebody called 911 to report a man with a gun on the 16th floor. On the 16th floor. Police converged on the scene, and officers found the gunman dead on a self-inflicted gunshot wound on the 17th floor. New York City Police Commissioner James O'Neill said at a news briefing. This is the guy. This is the man right here. Henry Bello. The man wearing a white lab coat, carrying ID, and his firearm was nearby, O'Neill said. The shooter, Henry Bello, was a disgruntled former employee. Excuse me. Disgruntled former employee, quote, who worked at the hospital from August 2014 to February 2015, a hospital spokesman said. Earl Scroner told reporters that Bello resigned before he was fired. Scroner said Bello likely did not know any of the people he shot, but police are investigating the matter. The body of a female doctor was found close to the gunman's body, O'Neill said. The woman's name was not immediately released. Sarathar Chimmarie, I guess that's how you say the last name, physician-in-chief at the hospital, said the victim was shot at random. 6 people were wounded on the 16th floor, and 5 who are hospital staff members are in serious condition from gunshot wounds. They are all in the intensive care unit, Shirley Murray said. Another person who was already a patient was injured and is in stable condition. The hospital fire alarm system went off during the siege, apparently because the shooter tried to set himself on fire, O'Neill said. So far, authorities have not offered a motive. The FBI said the shooting did not appear to be an act of terrorism. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio called it an act of work-related violence. Shirley Murray said hospital officials were unhappy with Bello's performance and he left 2 years ago under unfortunate circumstances. Video images from the scene showed hospital employees and others coming out of the hospital's main entrance, their hands in the air, crossing the street towards police officers. Employees and patients described scenes of panic in the crowded hospital with people taking shelter in closets and rooms. Crystal Rivera, a 23-year-old patient at the hospital, said she was with her hospital roommate, a visitor, and a nurse from before when they heard gunshots. I barricaded the door with an IV machine, 2 chairs, and my whole bed, Rivera said. The visitor looked out and saw the man wearing a green top and a white lab coat and saw that he had a rifle, she said. Ralph Valaquez, an HIV counselor, said staff had trained for incidents such as this. Excuse me. Quote, we locked every single door in that place. Every single door was locked, and we put the patients there. We made sure that our main concern was the patients, she said. Hospitals have been the site of active shooting situations in recent years. In January 2015, a patient's family member shot and killed cardiac surgeon Michael Davidson before the shooter killed himself at Bridgham and Women's Hospital in Boston. And in in Florida last July, a man entered a patient's room and opened fire. A man entered a patient's room and opened fire, killing an elderly female and a female hospital worker, police said. A suspect was taken into custody. Okay. Now I'm going to play the clips.
Where police say a disgruntled doctor went on a shooting rampage at a hospital where he used to work. Staff and patients, some of them fresh out of surgery, had to barricade themselves inside their rooms as this gunman opened fire in the hospital halls yesterday. This is video recorded by a patient with his cell phone as he and several nurses hid inside a room with no working AC. One person was killed in that rampage. 6 others were injured. For more on this, let's go to CNN correspondent Polo Sandoval. He is there for us in New York. Polo, what do you know about when he was fired and why he returned now?
You know, I asked that question just yesterday, Lynn, to one of the officials there at the hospital, saying at this point it's simply too early to say. Only said that Dr. Henry Bellows' stint there with this hospital was very short, only a few months, starting in 2014, and then eventually submitting his resignation in February of 2015. That gunman eventually turned the gun on himself, but not without going on this shooting rampage, as you see in some of these images here. Was quite the chaotic scene here. At least one female doctor was shot and killed by this gunman, and at this point we do not know her name, only know that she practiced family medicine there at that hospital for several years. At least 5 other doctors this morning are fighting for their lives rather than saving lives, still listed in critical condition. I want you to listen to what some of the witnesses had to say about what was a truly chaotic scene. One individual described it to me as a war zone. Take a listen.
I basically went to a room because we couldn't leave the floor, and I just basically, I panicked because then we heard the codes, and then I saw a doctor. He had a gunshot wound to his hand, and
Where did you see it?
I don't know if it was his left or his right hand, but it was like in the center of his hand.
What's incredible is only about 6 hours after those shots rang out, that hospital reopened again, taking in patients. Obviously, those still the floors where this went down, Lynn, still considered a crime scene and closed this morning.
And I know hospital officials there are just crediting all of the employees for quick thinking and saving so many lives. Polo Sandoval, thank you so much.
No sé qué es lo que está pasando, pero estos tachos, se metió un tipo aquí en el hospital, papi. Bueno, tenemos un poco de agua ahí mientras tanto, pa. Aquí pueden ver, miren, esto está lleno todavía de policía. Estoy aquí, escondido al lado de esto, la pierna mía me hicieron cirugía. Hay 3 enfermeras en el baño, por si acaso, no sé, yo les toqué la puerta, ella me dice que mantenga la voz baja, que esperemos todavía.
Department is reporting out that multiple people have been shot at a hospital here in New York City. This is in the Bronx. The NYPD has tweeted out a message asking people to stay away from the area of Bronx-Lebanon Hospital. So this is what we have, NYPD tweeting out due to reports of a shooting, avoid the area of 1650 Grand Concourse, more information to follow. This is the largest not-for-profit healthcare system serving South and Central Bronx, provides more than 1.1 million visits annually. This is what's happening right now. Art Roderick is on the phone with me, CNN law enforcement analyst. Art, talk us through what police are doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking the New York Police Department, which is one of the best police departments in the country when it comes to responding to not only active shooters, but also terrorist events. And please, I'm not saying this is a terrorist event, but a lot of times the same activity you would see around an active shooter event you would see around a terrorist event. So what you've got here, I'm sure they're going to have to put aviation up. It sounds like they've got the streets around the area blocked off. Now they're going to have to determine are there individuals that are injured beyond the ones that they've reported? Is this a barricade situation? Is it a hostage barricade situation? I'm sure they'll bring in hostage negotiators. They'll keep that place clear. They'll try to locate his vehicle, find out what the cause of this. This is going to be the big part of it. Is why did this individual do this?
All right, I'm back. Before I go to the next report, after looking through doing research about this incident that happened out in New York City, they said the man, they said he had mental issues, and they said that the reason why he resigned is because he was accused of sexual harassment. I don't know if it was true or not, but unfortunately, when a woman accuses a man of something, we gotta keep it real, people. We gotta keep it fucking real. When a woman accuses a man of sexual harassment, when she accuses a man of any form of harassment like stalking, street harassment, when a woman accuses a man of sexual assault, and definitely when she actually accuses a man of rape, doesn't matter if the guy did it or not, he's fucked. And I don't know if that incident is true or not, but I don't think it's true. I think whatever happened, whatever he said, wherever the communication was, when he communicated to this female, this man at the time, Henry Bello, that I'm speaking of, whatever interaction he had with one of his colleagues, I'm assuming workers, I want to just say like this: when you're a man, specifically a man of color, a so-called black man, everybody's watching you. Now, I went to school. When you're in school, and when you join the workforce, you got a target on your back, especially when you are not the stereotype, especially when you are about business and when you do what you're supposed to be doing, especially when you are on point with what you're doing at school or at school and at your job. A lot of times, people, other so-called non-blacks, but you got to watch out for Caucasians, especially that Caucasian female. They will try to put some bullshit on you. Now, I don't know what he said. He could have not said nothing to this chick at all, and this chick felt some type of way, and she wanted to get back at him, and then she makes a false accusation of sexual harassment. That has happened, or they got in a disagreement. Maybe she's insulted him, or he insulted her. But I'm assuming, in most cases like this, she might have said something nasty. You might have told her to do something. Because based on the position, maybe it was over her. She got an attitude. He probably said something. Probably put her in her place. This is all what I think happened. This is all what I'm speculating. She must have been nasty. He said something nasty back. Bitch felt some type of way. She wanted to destroy this man, because that's what a lot of women do. And in situations like this, when a woman accuses you of something, especially when you didn't do it, it don't matter if it's true or not. I mean, they're going to take the employer, the human resources, the HR, people who are your superiors when you're working, when you're an employee there, when you're an employee at this particular corporation, this particular establishment, when a woman accuses you of anything, and you're a man, especially a so-called black man, it don't matter if she telling the truth or she fucking lying. A lot of times these bitches are fucking lying. Your life is destroyed. Even if you got proof that you didn't do shit. Even if you got proof that you're fucking innocent. You're done. And I learned that, I got to talk about the whole Bill Cosby thing, and me being falsely accused of sexual harassment when I was in high school. That taught me that they don't these racist people, racist Caucasian people, keeping the fucking real. I mean, and these other so-called non-blacks who are prejudiced against you as a person of color, as a man, as a so-called black man, a black person, particularly a so-called black man. They will look. They don't give a damn if the bitch is telling the truth or not. They know. So a lot of times they know she's lying, but they're gonna take her side because of this feminism. You know what I'm saying? Let me look. I'm gonna show you what I mean. Let me look it up real quick, and then I'm gonna go to my other story. Okay, be right back. Here it is, people. Here it is. This is what I discovered. I'm gonna break some stuff down right now. Doctor opened fires at Bronx hospital, killing a doctor and wounding 6. A disgruntled doctor armed with an RA-15 rifle, wearing a lab coat, went on a rampage on Friday in the Bronx hospital where he had worked, killing a doctor and wounding 6 other people. 5 of them seriously before setting himself on fire, shooting himself in the head, authorities said. The furious attack by the doctor, identified by police as Henry Bello, age 45, sent workers at the hospital, Bronx-Lebanon Hospital Center, diving behind desk and doors as gunshots and smoke filled the hallways at a place devoted to healing. Witnesses described the medical workers ripping a fire hose from the wall to use as a technique on one of the victim's legs, while others recalled the horrific sight of the gunman, his torso aflame, running down the hallway. Dr. Bello had a troubled past, having worked at the hospital for about 6 months before quitting after being accused of sexual harassment, officials said. Excuse me. And years earlier, he was arrested and charged with sexual abuse after assaulting a woman in Manhattan. The attack appeared to be the type of mass shooting, and lone gunman was struck communities around the United States. He's shooting, one woman yelled in the frantic moments of the afternoon assault, as recounted by a mother in the pediatric emergency room, who he had cowered with her 5 children, ages 1 to 10. Some believe that the death toll would have been far higher had the shooting occurred anywhere, but where it did, a hospital filled with the state-of-the-art medical equipment, with doctors and nurses who rushed to the victims and performed trains where they fell. In the cases of in the staircases and hallways, as the gunman was still at large. The situation unfolded in the middle of a place that people associated with care comfort. Mayor Bill de Blasio told reporters outside the hospital on the Grand Concourse in the Claremont Village neighborhood the gunman acted alone. Mr. de Blasio said, adding, it appeared to be a workplace dispute that ended when the gunman committed suicide, but not before having done horrible damage, the mayor said. He quoted. End quote. The police did not identify the victim other than a woman and the doctor. 5 seriously injured patients were fighting for their lives, said the police commissioner, James P. O'Neill. The 6th had a gunshot wound to the leg. Dr. Bello was armed with a rifle and AR-15 that investigators believe he sneaked into the hospital under his lab coat, police said. While investigators are still trying to determine a motive, one official said, most likely is a workplace violence on the part of a former disgruntled employee. Dr. Bello was hired in August 2014, according to Errol C. Scriner, the hospital's vice president, and left in February 2015. I'll read that again. Dr. Bello was hired in August 2014, according to Errol C. Scriner, the hospital's vice president, and left in February 2015 in lieu of being terminated. The police said he resigned after accusation of workplace sexual harassment. In 2004, Bello was arrested and charged with sex abuse and unlawful imprisonment after a 23-year-old woman told officers he grabbed her by the crotch area outside the building on Becker Street in Manhattan, trying to penetrate her through her underwear, a law enforcement official said. The woman told officers that Dr. Bello lifted her up in the air and dragged her while she was saying, "You're coming with me." Court records indicate that Dr. Bello pleaded guilty to unlawful imprisonment in second-degree misdemeanor and is sentenced to community service. The felony sexual abuse charge was dismissed. Mr. Scriner said on Friday night that the hospital did not know about Dr. Bello's criminal past when he was hired at the time. As a result of Human Resources Security Department background check includes fingerprinting. There is no record of any conviction of sexual abuse, he said. Dr. Bello is a graduate of Ross University School of Medicine on the Caribbean island of Dominica, a New York State official said. The state's education department said Dr. Bello had received a limited permanent practice in an international medical graduate in order to gain experience that he could be licensed. The permit was issued July 1st, 2014 and expired July 1st, 2016. He also had an expired pharmacy technician license issued in California in 2006. The carnage took place around 2:50 p.m. Friday on the 16th and 17th floors of one of the Bronx's largest hospitals, which he was 1.1 million patient visits and over 140,000 emergency room visits a year, according to its website. Witnesses said that on Friday afternoon, Bronx-Lebanon's rooms and corridors were filled with patients and visitors. As the situation developed, workers were first prevented from entering the building. At least one of the wounded was being treated by people inside the hospital, who he tied an emergency room fire of a tourniquet, a fire department official said. At one point, the police escorted into the building a group of emergency workers wearing armor as gunmen was being sought. Dr. Sadhar Chili I mean, the physician-in-chief at the hospital said a doctor who was killed has been shot in the chest of 5 victims in critical condition. One is his family services physician, 3 are medical students, 1 is a gastroenterology specialist. Dr. Shoimari said he had treated some of the victims who were friends and colleagues. The situation was extraordinarily difficult, he said. Nora Riz, a patient care technician at Bronx-Lebanon, said the shooting took place on the floor where she works and recalls seeing a man now believed to be the gunman on fire. He was running down and throwing himself into the floor, she said, and threw ourselves on the floor. When everybody was quiet, my coworkers and me were lifted. We lifted our heads, and the doctor's station was on fire. Everybody just started screaming, said the mother in a pediatric unit, who asked that her name not be used to protect the children's medical privacy. The hospital staff frantically tried to quiet everyone, she said, ordering people in the packed waiting room to lie on the floor while the lights were turned off. The woman ran into an exam room with her children shoved them underneath the hospital bed while she lay on the floor as a barricade in front of them. When her 1-year-old began to cry, she breastfed him to keep him quiet. She said her heart was pounding. She said it was just shaking. Michael Marceno, 61, was lying in a hospital bed on the 10th floor waiting for an MRA after complications from back surgery earlier in June. When the police burst into the room and ordered patients who could walk to head down the stairs with their hands up, the cops came and started emptying out the rooms floor by floor. Everybody get out. Get out. Get out. These in quotes. He said about an hour after the shooting, standing in the parking lot outside the hospital, IV tubes dangled from his arms. On his feet wore only hospital socks. It's, quote, it's been happening almost everywhere, but nobody's waiting for this, Mr. Marcelo said, referring to the workplace shooting. Who would have thought it would be happening in a hospital? Shortly after the shooting, graphic images emerged online that purported to show the suspect lying on the hospital floor in a button-down shirt worn under the lab coat, seen covered in blood. As patients and employees drifted from the hospital in the hours after shooting, Miss Riz, the patient care technician, stood in her green scrubs, deeply shaken. I just want to get out of here, she said, recalling the moment she heard the gunman. We hear boom, boom. We thought a patient, a relative, but no, it came from the doctor's station. So, I mean, that's the end of that. I mean, to me, you know, I don't know what to say, but I'm just saying, obviously this person when that person, this guy lost his job, I don't know if the accusation is true or not. But I'm telling you guys, dealing with women in the workplace is just so complicated. And thanks to these anti-male laws, a woman can accuse you of anything. And the fact of the matter is, people of the who are in a position of authority, they don't care if she's telling the truth or not. They're gonna cover their ass because they don't want a lawsuit. Even if the bitch is fucking lying, a lot of times these women are lying. More so than telling the truth. I'm not saying all women who make accusations of sexual harassment, street harassment, stalking, accusations of being victims of sexual assault, being victims of rape, are all liars. However, too many women, and this is, and I put the blame on you women and you feminists. You don't check these females who love lying on men and destroying their lives, and especially you got a lot of women know that when it comes to so-called black men, they can say anything about a so-called black man and the so-called dominant society. Caucasian people, male and female, are going to assume that he's a sexual predator. Meanwhile, even though you got stats and supporting evidence that most Caucasian males are the biggest rapists, most Caucasian females who accuse men of rape are liars or make accusations about being a victim of a sex crime is a liar. But I mean, it's just ridiculous how, I mean, I don't know that this guy had a troubled past. I mean, he obviously had mental issues. He obviously held a grudge against his former employer, and he wanted to get even. He wanted to get back. He felt he was fucked over. Maybe there was some people fucking with him, and I'm just speculating. But this is what happens to people out there. This is why this is why it's a waste of time to fuck with people when it comes to the workplace, when it comes to being in school, because you have too many incidents of people, specifically men, and I'm warning you women, but specifically, don't play with a man's emotions and feelings. Don't be a fucking tease. Don't enjoy this unwanted attention to yourself that you claim you don't want, but you want it at the same time. You know, this society is it doesn't have a moral compass. You know what I mean? It just doesn't. We treat people like crap. We promote all this sex and all this pornography out here. It's the fashion industry. Women can behave however they want, but if a man reacts to it from his primal instincts, he's wrong. He's a predator. That's the narrative that that feminism has told us. Now you got racism. Now we got these racist narratives that are saying the so-called black man is a sexual predator. He's the most violent. When the truth of the matter is, if you study your history and actually took time to look stuff up, that that the majority of the people of the world throughout history and current have died and been murdered and been raped by Caucasian people, especially that Caucasian male. You have women, particularly Caucasian females, have a history of making false accusations, specifically false accusations of rape against a so-called black man. A so-called black man, or just a group of so-called black men. Men of color don't get a benefit of the doubt. You know, when a man of color is accused of something, we don't get the benefit. Nobody question. Everybody takes the woman's word for it. But if someone accuses a Caucasian male of something, we got to get the facts. See, a Caucasian male is innocent until proven guilty. You, as to my brothers, to non-Caucasians, but specifically that so-called black male, African male, You're guilty until they continually say you're guilty. You have women, specifically that Caucasian female, and even these other so-called non-black chicks, specific, but more so that Caucasian female, that are emboldened to lie on a man. And they can get away with it. And more times than not, she's lying, but they want to believe her anyway. You know, that situation that's happening with Demario Jackson and these other brothers and Bill Cosby? It's crazy out here. But this is what happens when you have racism and gynocentrism. It's a deadly combination when you're a man of color in this society. But I'm not through yet, believe it or not. I want to discuss, because this even though this story might be a little different, this report, but I want to show you something. I'll be right back. Now I want to discuss this. Virginia shooting suspect was distraught over Trump's election, brother says. Now check this guy out. James Thomas Hodgkinson outside a post office in Belleville, Illinois in April 2012. Washington. He lived out of his van in Northern Virginia. He lived out of his van in the Northern Virginia suburbs and took showers at the YMCA on Facebook. He posted furious criticism of President Trump and pledged allegiance to Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont. Back home in Illinois, neighbors complained to police of his practicing shooting near their home. Shortly after 7 a.m. on Wednesday, the police say James T. Hodgkinson, age 66, of Belleville, Illinois, opened fire on a baseball field in Alexandria, Virginia. Just steps from the YMCA, spraying bullets at the members of the Republican congressional team practicing there. 4 people were shot in the assault, including Representative Steve Scalise of Louisiana. And let me just say this before I even finish. First of all, the fact that he got shot, after watching Harvey Superboy's video, what he's addressed about Steve Scalise, this guy is a known Caucasian supremacist. So for him to get shot, the fact that he's in critical condition, he should have died from that fucking bullet. Because I hate these racist scumbags. You know what I'm saying? They do so much dirt and get away with it. Especially when they help create these racist ass laws and continue to find ways and techniques to practice their Caucasian supremacy and racism on people of color. So he's one of them type of dudes. But I digress. The majority whip and third-ranking. I'm back. Sorry for the interruption. 4 people were shot in the assault, including Representative Steve Scalise of Louisiana, the majority whip and third-ranking Republican in the House, and ensuring firefight with the police took Mr. Hodgkinson's life. The suspect's brother said Mr. Hodgkinson was a critic of Mr. Trump, upset over the last fall's election and the intent on bringing his protest to Washington. But his more immediate motive for the attack remained unclear late Wednesday, even as investigators surround Mr. Hodgkinson's home on the outskirts of Belleville, a town of 40,000, across the Mississippi River from St. Louis. Quote, I know he wasn't happy with the way things were going. The election results and stuff. His brother Michael Hutchinson said in a phone interview after he received the news on Wednesday. Totally out of the blue, quote, he added, saying that his brother was engaged in politics, but otherwise led a normal life. Conversations on Wednesday with friends and family, a review of police records, and an examination of Mr. Hutchinson's voluminous writing on Facebook offer some clues. He was deeply invested in liberal politics and had volunteered for Mr. Sanders' presidential campaign. He also had run-ins with the law enforcement over the years. In 1996, tragedy struck when his 17-year-old foster daughter committed suicide by dousing herself in gasoline and setting herself on fire in a car. According to the Belleville News Democrat, the newspaper reported that the daughter had been living with the Hutchinson family for months after he tried to kill herself before. He seemed like a loner, quote, said William D. Eliu, Alexandria's mayor from 2003 to 2016, who came to know Mr. Hutchinson during regular morning stops at the YMCA, were very nice. For much of his adult life, Mr. Hutchinson lived 100 yards off a Royal Road in a two-story home on the outskirts of Belleville. He was a high school wrestler, worked for years, and in construction, and then shifted to the home inspection business, starting his own company, JTH Inspections. Charlene Brennan, a real estate agent in Belleville, said Mr. Hutchinson had conducted inspections for housing sales she worked over the year on. Mr. Hutchinson had conducted inspections for housing sales she worked on over the years. He did not come off as radical, quote, Miss Brennan said. He did not come across as an unstable individual. He wasn't belligerent. He was just a kind of guy. On social media accounts, in frequent letters to the Belleville News Democrat, though, Mr. Hutchinson showed a political intensity. He appeared to have taken Mr. Trump's victory in November particularly hard and letting a license on his home inspection business lapse that month. And in the late March, the authorities said he relocated to Alexandria, just south of Washington. Throughout, Mr. Hutchinson continued to post blistering Facebook assignments of Mr. Trump and the Republicans in charge in Washington. On Tuesday morning, he posted a cartoon, "How Does a Bill Work?" That That's it. That's an easy one, Billy. The cartoon reads, corporations write the bill, then bribe Congress until it becomes law. Well, actually, he's true for what he's saying. That's exactly how it works, Mr. Hodgkinson wrote. The page was filled with references from Mr. Sanders, who was called on Democrats to endorse more progressive politics since losing the Democratic nomination to Hillary Clinton last year. In a statement on Wednesday, Mr. Sanders condemned violence of any type. I'm sickened and despised by the act, he wrote. Let me be clear as I can be. Violence of any kind is unacceptable in our society, and I condemn this action in the strongest possible terms. Mr. Hodgkinson's behavior got the attention of local authorities several times over the years. Records from the St. Clair County Sheriff's Department show. In April 2006, Mr. Hodgkinson, according to the Sheriff's Department, forced his way into the neighbor's home to find his daughter grabbed by her hair and in exchange punched his daughter's friend in the face. Later, when the boyfriend of the daughter's friend confronted Mr. Hodgkinson at the home, the boyfriend told the Sheriff's Department Mr. Hodgkinson had answered the door with a shotgun aimed at his face, struck him with it. Mr. Hodgkinson was charged with domestic battery, aggravated discharge of a firearm, criminal damage to a motor vehicle. The charges were later dismissed. Friends and acquaintances said they were stunned by a Wednesday shooting. Del Walsh, who identified himself as a friend who knew as Tommy, said Mr. Hodgkinson had been a vibrant presence when he was younger. He wasn't evil, he said. I guess he was tired of politics. In Alexandria, Mr. Hodgkinson could be found most mornings at the YMCA. Mr. Iluli said the two men made a small talk about politics and old movies. Mr. Iluli said. And Mr. Hodgkinson asked about finding work in town and good places to eat. Most of the days, Mr. Iluli said Mr. Hodgkinson would sit often hours in a small reception area on his laptop. That was the case Tuesday morning as well. Mr. Iluli, at some point, Mr. Michael Hodgkinson said his brother called home to tell his wife that he missed her and their dogs and then be coming home. 24 hours later, Mr. Hodgkinson unleashed an attack just a few places from the gym's front door on a well-groomed baseball diamond where congressmen were practicing. Okay. Now, let's see what this clip got to say.
Hey, is that guy okay out there? Someone opened fire on the baseball field that's just kind of back there behind those trees. It's where the congressional Republicans practice baseball in the mornings here in Delray.
There was return gunfire for a long time, and Steve Scalise shot. Steve was laying out, he was playing second base, fielding balls at the time. Steve dragged himself about 15 yards off of the from near second base onto the field. Yeah, was laying motionless out there.
Volunteered on my presidential campaign. I am sickened by this despicable act, and let me be as clear as I can be. Violence of any kind is unacceptable in our society, and I condemn this action in the strongest possible terms.
Authorities are continuing to investigate the crime, and the assailant has now died from his injuries.
Anyway, I'm just going to say this in closing. Mental illness has to be addressed in our society. And the fact of the matter is, since society is so destabilized and so dysfunctional and disenfranchised, the fact of the matter is, the way I look at it like this: you got so much evil and so much corruption going on with government, going on with these corporations, these people, these elites are breaking these laws that they write and tell us not to do, but they're not held to the same rules. They're not required. It's not mandatory for them to follow the same laws that we are forced to follow by them. You have people due to greed, due to money, wealth, and power. You know, the truth of the, I'll say it like this: the pursuit of money is the root of all evil. It's not the root. The money is not the root of all evil. It's the fact that the pursuit of money is the root of all evil, and greed. And greed has no end. And you see how power corrupts the human mind. You see how people are treating each other. You see the fact that you have a group of people that, especially when they got wealth and power and money and privilege, you see how they treat other people like shit and fuck them over. They don't care about the everyday person. They don't care about the middle class and the poor people who keep the society going and the economy going. No, we get thrown underneath the bus. You know, I don't like to say racial division, because it's not a racial division, because you have one group inflicting pain over other people. The so-called dominant. We have to be real. It's Caucasian people with Caucasian supremacy fucking over other people, fucking over people of color. You have wealthy people taking advantage of the poor. But a lot of what kills me, a lot of poor Caucasian people don't recognize that. When Donald Trump said they were going to cut off these public assistance, these programs to help the people, these like welfare, food stamps, and these government programs, a lot of you Caucasian people cracked me up and said, "Well, the niggers need to get off and start asking for handouts." Motherfuckers, y'all the ones who get the most handouts. Y'all the ones who commit welfare fraud, committing fraud to get food stamps and housings and shit, getting these grants and loans on false pretenses, illegally, as I state. Most of y'all are on public assistance. Most of y'all on fucking welfare when y'all don't fucking need it. Y'all the ones who are fucking lazy. Y'all have been lazy since day one, ever since you stepped foot in North American soil. And when you went to so-called Africa, when you damn near killed the Native American people who were here first. You damn near killed the so-called black people who were here first. And then you went to Africa and to make them slaves and shit, and with your divide and conquer tactics, with lying and deceiving and people. And the fact of the matter is, not only that, a lot of you poor Caucasian people are hurting right now, and I don't feel bad for you, because a lot of you idiots voted for your own economic interest just to hurt another group of people of color, specifically so-called black people. And now, since y'all got your nigger moment, your wake-up call, and you see the picture of this guy, now all of a sudden, now you got all hell breaking loose. Now you have people killing people. Okay? You have these. Now you have I mean, the fact of the matter is, recreate. What I'm trying to say, people, recreate these people to go over the edge and do shit like this. I'm not saying it's right and excusable, but I understand why it happens the way it does. Recreate these people these individuals, like you see in this picture, and in the other previous article that I read too. Recreate these people by the way we treat other people. A lot of, I mean, and the fact of the matter is, and you notice a lot of guys are doing this. That tells you something. It's not because men are just inherently violent. You have to, no. The fact of the matter is, men are getting the short end of the stick for a long time. They're always getting the worst end of the stick. And women are always getting they think they're actually getting the better end of the stick, the long end of the stick. But a lot of you women are getting your wake-up call too, because y'all not happy. In the previous news reports, you know, no, the other guy, he had issues too. He had mental issues too. He felt some type of way because he got fucked over. This guy that you see right here, he felt he got a raw deal too. Got fucked over in the process too. And for a long time, this society has been always screwing people over. Now that somebody got killed in the process and you got people getting murdered over this shit, y'all wonder why it happens. I mean, look at our society. Look at how we treat people. Look how we constantly disrespect people. Excuse me. We lie to them. We lie on them. We take pleasure in hurting other people. We don't care if they're fucking homeless. We don't care if they're out in the fucking streets. We don't care about their fucking livelihood. All we care about is our fucking selves. And the chickens are coming home to roost. So y'all people who, and specifically the message to you people who y'all see yourselves as the fucking elites, you privileged, wealthy ass motherfuckers, y'all need to pay attention, because nobody's playing with y'all motherfuckers no more. Keep screwing people over. Keep fucking them over. Keep fucking them over. Keep fucking them over. Keep taking their job. Keep outsourcing their jobs. Keep doing these illegal hiring practices. Keep fucking over the American people. Keep fucking over people, period, all over the world. Keep exploiting them and getting damn near cheap labor, free labor out of these other people, especially in these other countries. One day, these people that feel they're gonna get fucked, these people who feel that they're getting fucked in the ass and getting raped without no damn Vaseline, they're gonna get sick and tired of this shit. Getting sick and tired of being fucked over. This corruption has got to fucking stop. These people who are unstable, they're not born like that. We create these motherfuckers. Our society creates these people. You wonder why a lot of men snap and shoot people and kill people? I know it's mostly Caucasian males, okay? But the fact of the matter is, you have men, but in general, men, period, regardless of their ethnicity, have been known to snap and just go on these shooting rampages or become serial killers and just kill people. I mean, we create these people. And the fact that these people at the top like to fuck over the middleman, fuck over other people, fuck over the poor, fuck over the middle class and working class, and then think that people are not going to feel some type of way and not going to respond and not going to go out and try to do harm to you, not try to steal what you steal from you, what you stolen from them. I mean, that we ain't playing. Nobody's playing that shit. This shit is fucking serious. The fact that people feel that they can fuck somebody over the coals, rake them over the coals, as they say, fuck them over and do them wrong and do them dirty, make false promises, or just treat them unfairly and think that that person's not going to be hurt and think that person's not going to do anything to get even. Because me personally, I believe in eye for an eye. I don't believe in that forgiveness and turn the other fucking cheek like my family does. Sooner or later, people are going to wake the fuck up and realize that turn the other cheek, forgive, that praying shit don't fucking work. People are going to start waking up and realizing that forgiveness shit and take the high road, turn the other cheek ain't fucking working. And we're going to get sick and tired of being punched in the fucking face. Pretty soon, when you abuse somebody, you back them into the fucking corner, guess what? That person is going to come out swinging and going to fucking murder your ass. You keep fucking abusing a person, keep abusing the animal. When you see how some animals get sick and tired of being abused and they fucking kill the person who's abusing the fuck out of them, that's what I'm talking about. You keep abusing a person. You keep fucking them over, deceiving them, playing with their emotions and feelings, disenfranchising them. They're gonna snap and come after your ass. So the chickens are coming home to roost. So these people. So I don't feel when I see stories like this, I don't feel bad for y'all motherfuckers because a lot of y'all motherfuckers bring it on yourselves. Y'all selfish. Y'all think y'all can fuck people. I mean, specifically the workplace. The workplace has got his own politics of his own. The fact of the matter is, people feel that they can do somebody dirty and take their livelihood away and think that they're not going to come back and do something like this. I'm not saying that's the right way to go. There's other ways of fighting injustice, but come on, we have done the forgiving. We have took the moral high road. We have done that constantly, and it has gotten us nowhere. Y'all, these people who are unstable, considered mentally ill, that y'all motherfuckers want to dismiss and be dismissive of, we got to recognize and look at ourselves that we are creating these people. And you notice it's always usually men who are doing this, and it's not because they're just like that. No, it's because men are at a huge disadvantage. It is harder for a man to get shit. Men don't get handouts like that, like women do. People, especially men of color. Women have it easier, but they're starting to feel the punch too. The majority of people who are fucking homeless are men. We don't have no programs, no welfare and services for men. No, we don't have that shit. Men don't get food stamps like that, like women do. Whether she has a child or not, she's still getting help. Men don't have help. Even if you got single fathers out here who are fucking keeping their head above fucking water, don't get no damn help. Men are the ones who are losing their jobs. Women are getting the jobs quicker than the men. You have more women in college than men. And it's all about gynocentric feminism, female privilege, and just misandry and discrimination against men. And the reason why that is because women are not a threat to the fucking establishment. Okay? That's all that is to it. And I'm sick, and I'm not, and the fact that, I gotta address racism as well. The fact of the matter is, a lot of you people, and the fact, this goes out to you poor Caucasian people. Y'all need to stop thinking that people like Donald Trump, these rich elite Caucasian people, give a fuck about you as the poor. They see you as a nigger, they see you as a person of color. They see you as a nigger too, who don't have shit. They stroke your ego and say, "Oh, this so-called white unity and all this bullshit." No, the only unity they got is fucking. You don't understand classism, like y'all think y'all do. The only thing people care about is fucking green. But by default, who got the most green? Who controls the most green? It's these Caucasian people. And don't tell me it's the fucking Jews. No. Jews are Caucasian. The so-called Jewish people. The original Jews were people of color, specifically, black people. But the fact of the matter is, Jews are really Caucasian people practicing a religion. A person who's Jewish, a Jew is not an ethnicity. It's not a skin color. So miss me with that. Jews and Caucasian people, your regular Caucasian people versus a Caucasian Jew, they're one and the same because they still got the same attitude. Y'all look the same. The only thing difference is with a Jewish person, they look more ethnic. Anyway, I'm going to shut this video because this is long enough. I'm telling y'all people, y'all better wake the fuck up. All this. The fact that we got corruption, the fact that these motherfuckers at the fucking top want to do all these they got this agenda for population control. They're and the fact that they're breaking up families, and the fact making it harder to live. We got to do something. We as people got to come together. But I don't think we can ever come together when you got a certain group of people who are racist. You got and the fact and a privileged group who are sexist, and I'm not talking about men being sexist. I'm talking about you women. Y'all need to acknowledge that there is female privilege. I mean, the only males who can get away with being sexist towards women are males like Donald Trump. Okay, but y'all women love those type of dudes. Y'all love a dude who's a chauvinist and who's very misandric and has no respect for you and grab you by the fucking pussy unless he got fucking money. If the dude is broke and don't have that and he's working at fucking McDonald's making like $8 or $9 an hour, y'all don't take him seriously. Y'all you don't fear him. You know you can destroy him. You know the law is on your goddamn side. The court system is on your goddamn side. Come on with it. The fact of the matter is what I'm trying to say to the people, to the privilege, to the people who got an advantage. Y'all need to start using your privilege and your power and your influence and your wealth to help other people out. Fuck all this "I'm over you" bullshit. I gotta be above you bullshit. It is not fucking working. That's why the world's off balance. But y'all keep doing that. Keep ignoring the messenger. Keep attacking the messenger. Because at the end of the day, when y'all get your wake up call and when people get sick and tired of your bullshit, don't come crying when it hits home, when you get a fucking bullet, when you get fucking robbed, when you fucking lose your shit and lose your livelihood, when those other people that you thought were your goddamn friends turn on your ass.